All right, to get into my cultural interview, just hopping in. So who did I interview? I interviewed my good friend Israel Rivera. He's Latino American and lives here in Provo, Utah. He's married and he's currently expecting a baby boy within the next month. It's very exciting, excited for him. Um, and we both served in the same mission together. So we've been able to be pretty good friends ever since then. And he's currently at BYU as well, and he's working as an engineer as well. Um, Me having served a Spanish mission, I already kind of knew a little bit about the cultural community of Latino Americans. So I asked a little bit different questions, kind of went out a little bit different way. So that's just to get into a little bit. Israel and I have a very funny relationship. We're always laughing together, always giggling. But when I performed this interview, he and I were given the chance to sit down and have a very serious conversation. So I'm super grateful for this opportunity. I was able to learn a lot from him about his culture and about the different things he experiences because of his culture. So I was able to learn a lot, and it was a good thing. To hop into a couple questions, which I asked him. I asked a lot of questions about his race and ethnicity and how it affects him in here in America and how Latino Americans kind of live their lives here in America. So the first question I asked is, do you feel like a minority in Utah versus California? So I knew that he's from California as well as I am, and he's currently living in Utah. So I wanted to see how he felt about the two different states and how maybe how Latino Americans feel. And in Utah, he says he doesn't feel like he can fully be himself, and then he's expected to act a certain way. Versus in California, he felt that he was able to act himself, and that he was less of an expectation to act a certain way. And he went on to describe that's because there's a lot more Hispanics in California compared to Utah, where he's surrounded by, and so a lot of times he feels like he has to act like those around him, and so he often feels like maybe he has to act like a Caucasian, or he sometimes puts him in situations he's not completely comfortable. Um, but that was just super interesting to see how those that you're surrounded by kind of help you with how you act. Another question I asked him was, in what circumstances has someone treated you differently because of the color of your skin? And I was actually super surprised by this. He said that in an academic environment, people didn't always think he was adequate to do his portion of a project, or maybe didn't know answers to questions. Or in sports, sometimes people thought he was more athletic. Going back to the education, I know that's absolutely not the case. Israel's a super sharp, smart guy. So that surprised me a little bit how even here at BYU or in academic environments, he felt that people didn't think he can perform compared to others. So that was super interesting and probably something a lot of Latino Americans face as well. And the last question that I asked, I'm going to bring up is, do you feel that you have an equal opportunity compared to those of Caucasian descent? And this was really surprising. He actually said sometimes he felt like he had better opportunities as there were resources available to him that he didn't feel were available to Caucasians. So I think that's cool how, here in America, we give opportunities to those who may need them. And so that's a super, super cool thing. As far as a reflection, I was super grateful that I had this opportunity to interview Israel and talk to him about this. We were able to sit down and have a good and serious conversation. Personally, I was a little surprised by how he's kind of experienced racism and how people have treated him differently because of the color of his skin. So that was interesting. I also appreciated how he felt like he had a great opportunity here in America. One last thing that he noted is he felt like other Hispanics kind of praised him for being born in America, and that was like a high social status for him. So I thought that was super interesting. Again, overall, super grateful to have this opportunity to perform this interview and have a serious conversation and learn about Latino Americans and what they face here in America. And that's my presentation.